Earthlings, good
Hello
afternoon.
also to space hipsters, members of various science and tech communities. Hello to Swiss Info followers, ladies and gentlemen. Right now, we're gonna take you to Mars, or not.
There is a very interesting situation of a Goldilocks situation between Venus, Earth, and Mars. So Venus is closer from the sun, outside the habitability zone, but in the warm side of the habitability zone. Earth is in the habitability zone, and Mars is outside on the cold side. And so it's very interesting to study those three planets, because they explain a little bit how life can form on such a planet and when the conditions are ripe.
Okay, so this is one of the reasons. Is there life on Mars? The famous question. I guess, Pierre, Brisson, you would also agree it's worth exploring our neighboring planets.
Yes, it's worth exploring Mars because it's a planet which is most similar to Earth, which is reachable with our technology. That is, we can dream of exoplanets in other stellar systems, but we cannot go. Mars is not so different, and we can go. That makes a big difference. I don't think we will find life, but we can see the process leading to life, which is most interesting, in fact. ESA is a budget, annual budget is 6 billion. It's not much. And NASA budget is 21 billion. And 21 billion is 0.5% of the federal public spending of the United States.
Do you think going to Mars now is a question of flag, or is it possible to have a global consortium?
Oh, it's mandatory to have a global consortium. I think just one country can't go by itself.
It's my third disagreement. I believe in competition. I think only the matter of action is competition. Yes, you agree.
But I think there will be probably two blocks, but there will be both collaboration and competition.
Roughly, we can say that states are active in space for prestige and science reasons, while private companies are rather interested in profit. Would you say this model applies to what's actually going on the Mars race?
Not quite. I agree that there is a political competition between China and the United States, as it was at the time of Russia and the States. But on the side of the private competitors, that is mostly Elon Musk and Jeff Bezos, I don't believe they are pursuing their Mars dream for money.
We always mention Elon Musk, but we very often forget Jeff Bezos, the boss of Amazon, also has a space company named Blue Origin, which is much more discreet than SpaceX can be, but also doing approximately the same thing, building rockets and having plans for space exploration. What drives these people?
I think we must not forget communication. Mars is a very nice flag for NASA, for ESA, for Elon Musk. It's mainly communication. They say, yes, we want to go to Mars, and then every people is happy and giving money. I'm not sure that it will be doable. And well, personally, I think it's probably not doable.
I know indirectly Elon Musk since the 90s. And I know that since the beginning, he wanted to go to Mars, and he didn't want to go to Mars to make money. Of course, he has to maintain his enterprise, but his main purpose is not money. I am sure of that.
We will not agree. Elon Musk is not with us. He's here. Are you here, Elon? Not. Doesn't seem to. I just would like, before going further to the technical difficulties of going to Mars, just a little think about Switzerland and smaller countries. We mentioned the big powers, but a country like Switzerland is very active in space research. And we've, of course, we have one astronaut. I think he's with us, Claude Nicolier. Hello, Claude. What's driving smaller countries who will never plant their flag on another planet? What's driving them to be so active in space research?
It's an incredible driver for innovation, and innovation can then percolate into industry. And so everybody can gain of this.
In fact, this space adventure is already present in many countries in the world. When you have a mission like Curiosity or Perseverance, you don't have only one country. You have the leader, which is the United States, but you have many countries participating.
Beautiful, isn't it? But in real life, things are slightly different. We all have seen the crash landings of the SpaceX Starship. So when you look at these images and see what the state of the technology is now, isn't there a problem?
Prototypes are meant to explode. I mean, if they don't explode when they are prototypes, they might explode when there are people inside. So I do prefer them to explode now when they are still on tests, and so that we can really see everything that could go wrong and then put people in them and send them.
Well, I agree with Sylvia.
That's great.
Yes, of course. And Elon Musk says that he would make maybe 100 SN. And these SN are just to see what happens and to improve.
Roughly half of the people who are following this debate estimate the Mars race is worth its price. That means the other half think it's too expensive. I mean, in the 60s, 70s, maybe there were much more enthusiasm for space exploration than it has now.
Yes, obviously, people are probably thinking that there are better things to do. I cannot answer that, actually.
I am quite aware of that, and I think it's a development over the last year of the ecology feeling. I think people are more concerned by Earth or living on Earth than exploring today. That's a fact.
They will have problems of anemia. There is what is called space anemia, which when they come back on Earth, their blood cells are going down for quite a long time, for about 3 months. There will be the problem of osteoporosis. They will have weak and fragile bones, so they will need to be very careful in what they do, so they can't jump out of the ship on the surface. And also the cardiovascular perturbations are very complicated, because of course with microgravity, all your vessels, blood vessels are pumping up the blood because they are used to Earth's gravity. And when you don't have gravity anymore, the vessels keep pumping and all the fluids are going up. And we don't know exactly if Mars gravity is enough to calm that down. It will be better than in microgravity, of course, but we don't know how much better it can be.
Many astronauts already had a 6 months stay in microgravity, and they recovered pretty well. So I think astronauts who will go to Mars will also recover. For the first arrivals, when there is no welcoming committee on Mars, we can have people donning exoskeleton for the first days if they really need to move. But during the first days, they won't have to move because they will have to make a lot of checking within the ship before going on the ground.
NASA is actually testing some vests for personal protections, because it might be the more effective way of protecting the astronauts. And those are vests that protect the most sensible parts of the body. They should wear it 24 hours on 24 hours. So they are trying to see if they are comfortable enough to be acceptable because they would have to wear them for two years and a half. But of course, NASA considers that one mission to Mars, the astronauts will receive the radiation dose that is acceptable for a full astronaut career, and in just 2 years and a half. So it is a real concern. I just saw a headline in ESA's website where they say that radiation is for the moment a showstopper.
First, we have to make the difference between the trip and the stay. Radiation within the Gale crater were about the same as in the ISS. Now, during the trip to Mars, of course, radiations are much more severe. They can reach up to 0.6 sievert, which is a lot. But we don't expect people to go several times to Mars. And after that, if they receive some 0.6 sievert during their trip, well, they will incur a 3% increase in the risk of developing a cancer in the rest of their life. I think many people will accept to take that risk and go to Mars. I don't think this is a showstopper.
Mars is not at all an habitable planet. It is not meant for mankind. So what are the different problems astronauts will face, and what are the way to solve them?
We have to land the first astronauts near a deposit of water ice. This is very important because it will give them a lot of possibility. After that, Mars is like Earth. It's made of the same stuff. That is, we have the same minerals. One of the first things we will have to do is, after we have tested the trip, is to bring to Mars the equipment necessary to use the resources of Mars. And from that, we can make whatever we want.
Food is a big issue because we cannot grow food simply on Martian dust and human feces like Matt Damon did in the movie.
No, this movie is completely out of reality, and we should not look at that really seriously. And even the first picture is completely wrong because it starts with a storm which destroys everything, and this is utterly impossible because density of the atmosphere is
too faint. Yes, and just very shortly, very briefly, when do you think a human will land actually on Mars?
I think the first landing will take place on May 31. We can go to Mars only every 26 months. Let's say that there will be a reconnaissance flight on 2024. I think that could be feasible. Then in January 27, we can have a robotic flight. But this robotic flight, which would be to prepare the real one, will return on Earth only 30 months after, that is on July 29th. And so there cannot be an inhabited flight in March 29, and we'll have to wait until May 31st.
31. Okay, let's take the date. Sylvia, do you think it's too optimistic?
There is a joke that says that since the 60s, we say that we will be on Mars in 15 years. So why not go on like that for a long time? No, I think if we want to be really serious about this, there is many things that we first need to test and to try. We have some experiments on Perseverance that will try to see how to get oxygen from the atmosphere, and we first need to see that kind of experiments, how it works, how much it yields, because we know on Earth how to do that, but on Mars conditions it might be very different. And also we need to test the settlements and be sure that we have everything we want. And I would say, first, let's go back to the moon, stay there for a few months, and then we can talk about Mars. I don't think we can give a date.
Do you think we have constantly underestimated the difficulty of going to Mars?
No, I think we just changed our plans. because when at the end of the Apollo program, some people wanted to go to Mars after the moon, and it is the political leaders who choose not to pursue the adventure. If political leaders had wanted to go, we will be there at that time.
Yeah, Mars is a completely different situation than the moon. Huh? It's much further away. To keep people there for 18 months, it's really a very big challenge. And I just want to mention something. Elon Musk is building a rocket. Okay, he says that he wants to go to Mars, and I believe he might be absolutely serious about this. But he has not a Mars mission plan. He has a Mars rocket plan, and he will not go alone. He will go with NASA as a contractor of NASA, probably.
If we have the ship, we will go, because we should not forget that many people in the world around are working on living conditions. The ship is empty, but there is plenty of things to put aboard.
If we look in a very far future, when life on Earth will disappear anyway, from the death of our star, of our sun, do you think mankind is able to live on another planet?
Well, I think we have here a vision of humankind, just like Superman, you know, the lone hero that can do anything because he's smarter and stronger, and he can save the world all by itself. And I think it's completely wrong from a biological point of view. We are a species that is born from Earth, that is perfectly adapted to Earth, because we are Earthlings, really, and we need all the other species. And the idea that we can just go alone on a planet and live there with a few seeds, it's irrelevant from a biological point of view.
Of course, I think exactly the opposite, because I think of course, we are Earthling, and we are the product of Earth. But I think that nowadays our technology makes us capable of living elsewhere. And I think Mars today would allow us to live elsewhere.
Our audience today seems to agree with you, as I just saw that 64% of the people think that mankind needs to become an interplanetary species.
Mars settlement will be very positive for progressing for Earth technology, because we will have to live with very little and very efficiently, and we will have to recycle everything we can. So it's a very good training and a very good school for doing better what we do on Earth.
Mars mission or the moon, going back to the moon, it will be the same things. On the moon also, we need to live in almost autarky, or closest from autarky that we can. And so yes, it can help us, but it's already on the ISS. We have that kind of thing that is going on. We learn how to recycle water in a very efficient way, and to live on very little things.
I think that the trip to Mars should start as soon as possible, because as I said earlier, I am very much afraid of the ecologist movement. And I think that those people are more and more shutting the doors. And whatever we do is costing something, and costing something ecologically. And people, more and more people don't want us to spend ecologically. So and they don't realize the advantage of going outside of Earth. So I am afraid that we may, if we don't go now, the window which is open, still open, can close.
I'm really not afraid of ecology. I'm just thinking it's the only way to go forward on this planet is to be ecological, and much more than we are now. Things are going very fast with the pollution, and I'm afraid we are going to see very negative effects really soon. And why not? Even now, when you speak to people living in islands in the Pacific, water is rising already. And I'm afraid if we have not an ecological near future, there will be no other future.
If you want to answer to Devesh, hello Devesh, by the way. What we can say is that for the cost of just one manned mission, we can send 40 Perseverance type missions. And we see that robotic missions are more and more efficient, more and more information full and knowledgeful. And so in our view, robotic exploration should be the priority. Because we need the knowledge, we need to understand things, we want to understand things. We are a species that is curious and that wants to understand its environment and beyond its environment. And this is a very good thing. And it can bring a lot of knowledge back to Earth that is important.
I would like to greet again Claude Nicolier, who is with us, and he wrote something, or Swiss astronaut, he wrote something in the discussion section and say that basically you seem not very far from each other after all. You both agree on the necessity of exploring Mars, but the big point of disagreement between the two camps is about humanity being or not an interplanetary species. But I'd like to hear you once again on that question, because Sylvia, in your books, you and Javier mentioned that mankind has been shaped by Earth, is made to live on Earth and cannot, this is the title, live elsewhere than on Earth. Again, do you stick to that conclusion?
Well, it's like asking a fish to live out of the water. The fish should build a bubble of water to survive. And I see also that Claude Nicolier has a question in the question and answer section, and he asks us about, we say that we cannot live on Mars, and I would make the difference between to live or to survive. And yes, we can survive on Mars in a bubble of habitability that we can build. I agree with Pierre that we are probably able to build this bubble, but for a small scale. I think that we can build a bubble of habitability for a handful of people and probably make them survive on Mars for a few months or a little more than a year. If you want to bring more people or to let them live for longer, you need a much larger bubble of habitability. And this is starting to be a very big financial and technical challenge. And I think we cannot face that one.
Well, I think that we are not fish, we are man. And this is a big difference because we have our head and we have our hands and we have our intelligence and we have our technology. And this makes a big difference. So this is why I think man can live outside of his native planet. It will be difficult, but I am confident we can make it. And
live.
even if,
so you say live, and Sylvia and Javier say survive.
My conclusion, well, is that I didn't change my mind. I still hope we can do it, and I hope that Elon Musk will succeed with his Starship. But if he doesn't succeed with his Starship, I am sure that somebody else will take the flag and do something, because we are almost ready, and we will be there. In about 10 years, I'm confident we can be on Mars.
I think we have a wonderful planet where we can live and thrive in a wonderful environment, and this is where we need to put our efforts now, because we need to keep it a nice place. There is no planet B, definitely not. I think it's not, Mars is not an option, an exoplanet is not an option. And so we really need to take care of our planet, and it's so beautiful, it's worth it.
We are meant to live here, and perhaps that's a way to solve the paradox, the Fermi paradox. If they have not been traveling around the galaxy, it's perhaps because no humanity can go too much away from his original planet.